Hey guys, today I'm here with the Delta 7-inch LED headlights fitting all 2018 and newer JL Wranglers. So if you busted up a headlight on the trail or you're just looking for an overall upgrade from your factory incandescent lights, then this option by Delta is going to be a really good one to take a look into. So this is not only going to act as an upgrade, it's also going to act as a replacement, being perfect for the JL owner who has busted up a headlight on the trail, like I said, or has been seeing some wear and tear on their current headlights, maybe a bulb burned out, and they're looking for a big upgrade instead of just a factory replacement. So speaking of a upgrade in lighting performance, this is going to incorporate LED technology, which is going to have a higher lumen output than your factory bulbs. It's also going to have a more uniform light output, and it's going to do a really good job at creating a more modernized look instead of the yellowish hue that you usually get with your factory incandescent bulbs. So this is also going to be perfect for the JL owner who's looking for a classically styled headlight and doesn't need anything over the top, but they're also looking for that big bump in performance. Now these are going to be roughly $425, making these one of the more expensive options, but for good reason. Now there are a couple of different options on the page for LEDs as well as HIDs, and usually the LED options are going to be a little bit more expensive. So when you're getting an HID bulb, all it is a high intensity output or high intensity discharge bulb, which is going to still be an incandescent bulb. You're just getting a little bit more. And then with an LED, you are getting a lot more than that HID, which is going to bump that price up. So other more expensive options are usually just going to include a halo or some other styling cue, as well as a higher lumen output. So in my personal opinion, I think if you don't need all of the extra bells and whistles as far as styling goes, and you're really just looking for a classic look with an upgrade in performance, then this option by Delta is going to be a really good one to take a look at. So install is going to be a very easy 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. This is going to be completely plug and play. And you're only going to need a couple of basic hand tools and probably 2 hours worth of your time to get the job done. So speaking of that install, let's jump into that now. The tools that I used for my install were an impact wrench, a 10mm socket, a 3-inch extension, and a flathead screwdriver. So the first step to taking off our headlights is to pop our hood and pop off our grille. Now you will need a flathead screwdriver for this step or a trim removal tool. So you're going to have 6 retainers up at the top here, and I'm just going to take a flathead screwdriver and pop those out. So after all of those retainers are out, what we can do is pull up on the grill. It's going to lift up some pins that we don't want to get stuck in there. And then we can just give the grill a good tug and pop it out from those retainers down on the bottom. And pull this away, and now we have access to our headlights. So our next step is to remove our headlight. So we have 3 bolts that are holding it in. I'm going to use a 10mm socket and a 3-inch extension, as well as my impact wrench, to take those bolts out. So once those 3 bolts are removed, we can pull our headlight forward, and there will be a connector on the back. We just have to depress that clip, pull back, and then we can do the same thing on the other side. So before we go ahead and install our new Delta LED headlights, I did want to tell you guys a little bit more about them and what benefits that you're going to receive out of this new lighting setup that you're not getting with your factory setup. So even though they are similar in how they look and how they're set up, these are going to be a lot more powerful as well as a lot more durable than the whole factory setup. Now these are going to be 7 inches in diameter, as to where the factory ones are going to be 9 inches in diameter. However, these are going to provide a lot more light output. So these, with the LED technology, is going to have a more uniform light pattern, and this is also going to have 4,000 lumens per headlight. So collectively you are getting 8,000 lumens out of these, and because of the metalized steel reflector in these Delta headlights, that is going to produce about 4 times the amount of light that you would see with your factory incandescent bulb. Now speaking of the factory incandescent bulb, those are going to be at a lower Kelvin rating. So these are going to have a yellowish hue to them, as to where the new Delta headlights are going to have a 6000 K color temperature, which is going to produce a bright white light, and it's also going to look a lot more uniform. It's going to look a lot more modernized and upgraded than your factory headlights. Not to mention, these are also going to be DOT approved. Now the only thing that I don't really like about these new headlights is the fact that we're giving up the little Jeep emblem in the middle. However, with the performance that we're getting out of these, I think that that's a pretty fair trade-off. So enough about these two on the table. Let's go ahead and install our new Delta LED headlights. So before we go ahead and mount up our headlight, we do have to install our adapter. This is our H4 adapter. So we're just going to plug in the connection on the back of this headlight. So once the connector is plugged in, we can attach it to our OEM harness. Wait till we hear it click, and then we can mount it up. So there will be writing on the glass, so you want to make sure that Delta is facing up, and you're going to have a couple of holes where you need to line up the pins. And these will also be side specific, so I will keep that in mind. Then we're going to reuse our factory bolts and bolt these into place. So after we have the bolts threaded in, what we can do is go ahead and tighten them down. And we're using that 10mm socket and 3-inch extension. So then we can do the same thing on the other side. So after you have both of them mounted up, I would recommend to make sure that first that they work, and then second, I would adjust them. You can adjust them on the back using a 10mm wrench, and then what we can do is pop our grill back on. So now we can pop our grill back into place, making sure that the retainer clips down at the bottom are in our frame here, and that those pins are sitting up at the top of our frame. Then we can give the bottom of our grill a little push. Set those retainer clips. So we can grab our pop clips and pop all of those back into place. And after your grill's attached, all we have to do now is close up the hood, and then you're all set to go. So that's gonna wrap it up for my review and install. Make sure you like and subscribe, and for more videos and products like this, always keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.